History UK, aka the Black History, and you're speaking with Daniel, aka Andante, and we're going to be doing a live discussion with Brother Tazaryach, who is the captain of a Hebrew Israelite camp, a massive camp in America called ISUPK, and ISUPK stands for Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Okay, ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. They're a massive camp out there in America. They're one of quite a few actually, and so they're one of the biggest. But we're going to be doing a discussion with Captain Tazaryach, who is the head, or he's the captain of ISUPK specifically. So we're going to get him on the live, and we're just going to basically get into it, find out, about the movement, when it started, etc. There's been some recent events that has happened as well. So let's just get into it. So okay, hopefully we can join. Hey,
What's going on, man? Can you hear me all right?
nice to see you, my brother.
Hey,
Nice to
good
see you.
to see you too. Good to see you too. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you very, very well.
Okay,
Hopefully
perfect.
everything can hear you as well.
Okay,
Very well.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for coming onto our page on platform. So, this is the Black History. Our handle is obviously, the Black History UK. And you're speaking right now with Daniel, aka Andante. And we are, well, I'm aware of the Hebrew Israelite movement, how big this movement is. I've got people in my family and outside my family that are Hebrew Israelites, and some people that was brought to this truth, and this belief about, these people that say or claim that they are the chosen people of the Bible, and that basically Jesus wasn't there to save everybody. There's a lot of things I've heard about Hebrew Israelites, and a lot of controversial statements that have been made by a lot of Hebrew Israelites, basically. And obviously, you guys, I'm guessing you don't identify with Christianity, and Islam. And so, yeah, one of the reasons I'm bringing you on, as I was just saying to, our followers and our viewers here, is that you are the captain of ISUPK. And I explained that stands for Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. And there are other camps out there. Can you just maybe introduce yourself as well for them to hear from you?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Captain Tazaryach of ISUBK under Commander Jenny Hanna. I do want to shout out. I just seen my mama popped up in my live. I've
Hey.
never seen her pop into a live stream I was doing, so shout out to my mama. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Hey, sorry, I got my mum watching too, so we're good.
that's like the first
Your
time I ever
mum?
seen her actively like live watching.
Yeah. Right.
But yes, I am Captain Tazaryach of ISUBK under Commander Jenny Hanna. We teach that on this side of the earth, North, Central, and South America, the true Israelites are the Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians of Negroid and Indian descent. Of course, there are Israelites like in Europe and Africa. Like we have a school over in Europe, but I'll be visiting there, I think September 27th or something like that. I'll
When you
actually
say Europe, whereabouts? Do you know what country that is?
could be England. I'll try to find out and then let you know.
But I know that there's a camp here,
Yeah, that's
definitely in
well, in that
what's
area
it?
where Captain Parasha and them are in the UK. That's where we'll be going.
Okay,
So
I understand.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure exact. I'll find out exactly where that is and then I'll let you know. But we're going to be
right.
there for
Okay.
about a week or so out there in the UK. So I'm really looking forward, to coming out there, having experience. Because I hear about y'all got a corner over there, I believe, where a lot of Muslims and Israelites and stuff gather and have conversation. So I'm looking forward to
Right.
being over there. And so that's what we
Okay,
do.
that sounds
Right.
good.
So
Yeah.
we don't teach Christianity. You're right about that. Like we think that Christianity does not teach the word of God. They can have a zeal for God, but they don't have the word of God, how he would want his word to be spread or taught. So we teach the truth of that. We go out into the streets. We go out into the prisons. We go out wherever our people may be. If they're in the
Right.
educational system, we go to the educational system.
Yeah.
Thank you to Angie. She said Speaker's Corner is what it's called. So
We just-
we go out
Mhm.
there actively to teach and wake up our people to get us to repent from the evils that we're doing to serve the Most High. So that's
Right.
what we do. Yep.
Right. Okay. And when did you come to this truth? Regarding the Hebrew Israelites. Was that your initial upbringing, or did you
No, no.
come to that at a certain point? Who introduced you to this? How did you
I
get into it?
so I grew up Christian. So my father's father was a pastor. My mother
Right.
was heavy into church. So my whole
Right.
life, my whole upbringing was Christianity. So
Right.
everything about it, been in the choir, did all, came up that way. Almost was a Muslim when the movie Malcolm X came out.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, because I didn't know too much about Malcolm, but then when the movie came out, I started reading and studying about Malcolm X. And I really loved his spirit and his passion that Malcolm X
Right.
displayed. And but for me, becoming an Israelite happened. The early stages started about 2009. I got
Right.
the ISUBK in 2010.
Right.
And it was just by happen. It was I was watching a conspiracy YouTube video about
Mm-hmm.
entertainers making blood sacrifices and
Right.
stumbled on a video that said the black people are the Israelites. Now I would always hear about that, but I didn't bother looking into it. But for whatever reason, I started watching a YouTube video saying we're Israelites, and the more I watched it, the more it just made sense, and it piqued my interest to just learn more. And the more I learned about my identity, the more I learned this book that I've read, because I had read the Bible like 6 or 7 times. So the
Right.
more I read this book, the more I read it and got the understanding that it was being written about me and my people. The passion that was in me to love the Most High just grew. The passion that was in me to love my brother, because even when I was young, I would be what they call conscious type of young. So I
Mm-hmm.
still would be like doing like, evil shit, like cutting up, not listening to my mother, sold drugs, fought,
Right.
did all those things. But my partners would always tell me I was like Malcolm or something, like, because as evil as it would be what I'm doing, I would always say, yo, we got to stop. We got to do something different. So when I found out about being an
Mhm.
Israelite, it just ignited the passion to be a brother, to be a
Right.
friend, to be an uncle, to be, whatever is necessary to fix this nation. And so since 2010, I would say I went full fledged into being an Israelite.
Okay. So just to ask you a question as well, and to clarify, when you first sort of became aware of this movement, um, roughly how old was you at this time?
32 or 33, 32,
Right.
33,
Okay.
around that age. Yeah.
Right. And did you have a lot going on at that time? What was your
I,
general
I was no,
experience?
I was a cat that my life before then, I always worked like in like a corporate environment. So
Right.
I was working with like IP phones, voice communications were like my primary. That's what I
Right.
worked. Went
Okay.
to the gym, bought some weed, hung out with the fellas. That's it. That like at that point, I had my daughter, was married. Um, and I was just, like I said, I just was watching videos and just stumbled upon it. I was oblivious to the cares of the world, essentially.
Right. Okay.
Like as far, like, I wouldn't say, okay, oblivious in the sense that I wasn't thinking like I need to be a leader of black people at all. It was
Of
more
course.
so you keep up with current events. You have barbershop conversation. Like I used to hang at this barbershop. So you have barbershop conversations about politics, sports,
I understand. Yeah.
things like that or whatever. So that
So
was kind of good.
sorry. So what was your current belief at the time when you came to it? When you
I
became
was on
aware
the
of this?
fence about, so at that time, I was like on the fence about being considered a Christian
Right.
because as you get older, Santa's not real. So why am I
Mm-hmm.
teaching my kids about Santa Claus, the Christmas
Right. Okay.
tree, the
Got everything.
Halloween, the Thanksgiving? So knowing what these things mean, I struggle with saying, okay, I believe in Christ, but then the hypocrisy of the church. So like I switched churches, and the church I'm going to, I'm knowing that the pastor's brother is sleeping with another woman while his wife is in the church, but we saying you ain't supposed to do that, and the church supposed to be so righteous. I'm in the church where they're faking like the Holy Ghost. You know how they say they catch the Holy Ghost, they hoot and
Yeah,
holler.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
witnessing them fake it, and so you could say spiritually I was at a crossroad because it's like you seeing the phoniness of it, but you believing that this is where God's house is at. So you
Right.
going, and in the meantime, I'm hearing all these other things about what the truth about God is and stuff. So
Hmm.
I would say spiritually I was at a crossroads. I wouldn't say I was a Christian when I came in, but I was at a
Yeah.
spiritual crossroad when I came
Okay, that makes sense.
in.
So when you got fully devoted to this, what was your age then? What was the time period between when you first came to it and when you actually said, this is it, this is
Three
what I
months.
follow, this is what I 100%
So
believe. It
September,
was about 3 months.
yeah. So September, when I found out, or when I started watching the videos, November 29th of 2009 is when I said, "This is what I am. I'm an
Right,
Israelite. I'm going into it. I'm following it full fledged."
right.
And what I didn't know at the time was that's the day that my daddy actually died.
Hmm.
Um, I always thought my father died in like December because that's when the funeral was, but it was my mother
Hmm.
that told me that he had died November 29th. And she told me that because I was she was the one I was having a conversation with when I said this is the day that I dedicate my life to Christ. And when I said that to her, she said, this is the day that your daddy died. I didn't know that, but my mother knew that.
Wow.
And the reason why I bring that up is because I've had like, I don't usually talk about this publicly. I don't think I've ever talked about this publicly, but
Hmm.
the reason why I bring up the part about my father is because when I had a vision that I got anointed, and it was my father that actually anointed me in the vision that I got. So that's what
Right,
make my father play a part in this journey, so to speak. So in the vision, he just
right,
rises up out of nowhere and he says, "Are you ready?" And I say, "Ready for what?" And he says, "You know." And then he whips out the oil, pours the oil on my head, and anoints me right there. So me coming in on the day that he died, it's almost like spiritually I'm carrying a baton that maybe if he was stronger, would have been able to carry. So that's
right,
how I look at it. So November 29th of 2009 is when I went like, no turning back.
right.
This is what I'm
So
doing,
you
and
know
then
that
that's
date
it.
very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'll never forget.
So
I'll never forget that date. Hmm.
no, that actually sounds amazing.
Hmm.
I'm sure some people in this chat will probably think, "Is a spiritual meaning behind that?" No, it's because so I
Yeah.
get that feeling at times myself. But yeah, whilst that's very interesting. It sounds like he was always supposed to do it. Basically,
Right.
he was always supposed to do what you're doing now. He was
Hmm.
destined to be the person that you are.
Right.
Um, how long did it take you to become a captain?
I became a captain in I think 2017, either 2016 or 2017. So from 2010, so 6 or 7 years to become a captain is what it took for me.
Right, right,
And it just comes from doing the work. So, you come
right,
in and the captain rank is cool. It's cool to say, captain and stuff like that, but really you do it outside of what title you're gonna have. So I didn't wait to become a captain to start doing work. I wanted to do work as a trooper, as a young man, as a
right.
young officer of 50. My first rank was officer of 50. So even at that rank, I just wanted to do work, and I just try to maintain that same zeal up until now
So
where, yeah.
no, sorry. Okay. So what I want to understand as well is that when you came to this truth and you learned what it is and how it resonates with you and you said this is right, this is what I follow, I truly give myself to this, how probably spiritually connected you was because obviously, like you explained about your father and everything and how it all just interconnected basically.
Hmm.
Okay. So did you become aware of other camps as well? and when this truth came to you, was that the knowing of there being other camps that teach this differently from the one that you might follow, or how did you become aware of that, and what were your views on that?
It
The
was
fact that there
actually
was,
someone from another camp that told me about ISUBK. So I
yeah,
think when we all come into understanding we're Israelite, we don't know if you want to call it, the inner workings of the existence of other camps, as you say, because we're
yeah,
really, so ISUBK is a school. Camp is what we do on Saturdays when we go out on the street and teach. That's camp. But
right,
we're a school. So I had no knowledge of ISUBK in November of 2009. I didn't get knowledge of ISUBK until February of 2010. At the time, I was learning from various brothers from different places across America. So some was from Louisiana, some was in Florida,
mm-hmm.
some was in Chicago. We was doing these like over the phone conversations. And
So
yeah.
right,
Mhm.
yeah, no, sorry, no, you can
And
you can
so
finish
as
what you're saying.
so what happened, so what ended up happening, as I'm learning with these other brothers from these different zones, a subject came up about fallen angels in the Bible. And
Right,
it was during that subject that the group of us that used to convene together clashed, because some believed in fallen angels, some didn't. And
oh,
so
okay,
it caused a rift. And when that rift happened, that's when because I would say I cleaved to this brother specifically from Louisiana. Me and him had a bond. And when the friction started happening, I started talking to him more. So you could say
yeah,
he was a guide for me. I wouldn't even say that he wasn't a guide. He was a guide for me during that time period. And so I asked him, where was the truth at? I asked him, like, where did this all start? And he's the one that told me about ICBK. I never heard of them. And
okay. So
mhm.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. So if I was to
Say that one
ask
more
you, are
time,
you a
back up a
Hebrew
little bit.
Israelite? Your answer would, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
So if
now.
I said to you, if I asked you, are you a Hebrew Israelite? What would you say?
I would say I'm an Israelite. I wouldn't say I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Hebrew is like the catchphrase to say Black Hebrew Israelites or Hebrew Israelites. Biblically, we are Israelites. Hebrew is a language we speak. It's a slang we use. It's like if we
Right,
say he's Spanish, but he really Mexican,
yeah,
but because of the language he speak of Spanish, you say Spanish.
right,
So Hebrew is the language we speak, but I would say I'm an Israelite from the tribe of
right.
Judah.
Okay,
That's what I would say. But I don't
from the
really
tribe
take
of Judah.
issue, right? I wouldn't take issue with when people say Hebrew Israelites, but really the correct term would be Israelite.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, people, let me know if there's any connection problems. Okay, because I
I
saw
had got a
one
phone call. I
comment.
thought I put my phone
Okay, that makes
call
sense.
came
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
through right.
Listen, if we do get disconnected, please just send me another request. I'll join the live again and send me another
Right.
request, and we'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
reconnected.
Whatever.
Okay?
Yeah. I'll
So,
be here. I got time, so we good to go.
perfect. Okay. So you said that you're a Hebrew. You said you're an Israelite and that you are from the tribe of Judah. Can you explain to people that may or may not know how many tribes there are? And after you've done that, if you can also maybe elaborate to people who would be deemed as an Israelite or a Hebrew Israelite and why you say that.
So there are 12 tribes in the nation of Israel. You got Judah,
Yeah.
Benjamin, Levi, Issachar, Naphtali, Gad, Reuben, Ephraim, Benjamin, Manasseh, Issachar. I think I got all 12. So if I forgot the
Okay.
tribe, don't nobody don't nobody chastise me if I forgot the tribe. But so we teach who they are predominantly. So like when we say like blacks are from the tribe of Judah, that doesn't mean every
Right.
single black, but in that region or locale, predominantly they are Judites. So because you
Right.
could be
Okay.
in South America, you could be from the tribe of Judah, even though you're in South America. So
Right.
we break it down regionally where those tribes were predominantly, but of course over time we fan out to different areas. Tribe of
Right.
Benjamin would be like the Caribbean, the West Indians. The tribe of Issachar would be what we would today call so-called Mexicans. The tribe of Gad would be the Native Indians. The Seminole Indians would be the tribe of Reuben. The Cubans would be the tribe of Manasseh. The Taino or Puerto Ricans would be the tribe of Ephraim. So, and we teach that from biblical and historical evidence.
Right.
So there's historical evidence with the Taino Indians or the Puerto Ricans having the
Right.
Hebrew artifacts, knowing who they are. So that's how we break down who the tribes are today. Now
Right. Okay.
and a lot of people give us flack because they say, well, we was in Africa, so why you don't have nobody on your chart as far as the Africans go? But I'm not in Africa, so that
Yeah.
chart is specifically for North, Central, and South America. If I was in Africa, then it would be a different set. It would have to be like
Yeah.
Ghana is this tribe, or Ashanti is this tribe. But I'm not in Africa for us to have a 12-tribe chart based on that locale.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I wanted to also ask you and say as well is that basically there's this common like a shared belief, not in all of the Hebrew Israelite camps,
Mm-hmm.
to my knowledge, but that some of the Israelite camps that are out there, they have this shared common belief that not all people are Israelites or Hebrew Israelites, and also that Africans aren't Hebrew Israelites or Israelites.
Correct.
Again, not all Hebrew Israelites carry that perception,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a vast majority, a vast sum, let's say,
Right.
of people that have that belief. How is that the case? Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
How is that the case? Is that something that you believe or that you teach?
Yeah, I'm like,
why do you teach this?
like there's a video from like 2015 with Sarnetta has this African kid, and Sarnetta says, can he come to the cookout? And I say no. And I get crucified for that video to this day. So African might be the wrong word to use because, as I was saying earlier, people would say there's Israelites in Africa, so you can't say Africans aren't Israelites. So to be
Right.
biblically correct so people can understand what we're saying, according to the Bible, Ham is the predominant tribe that encompasses the continent of Africa. So the continent of Africa primarily would belong to what we would call Hamites in the Bible, Africans today. So when
Right.
we say Africans are not Israelites, we're talking about the tribe of Ham and the tribe of Israel are not the same. They can looking the same, like as far as your skin complexion, maybe kinky type of hair or broad nose and lips and stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about from a progenitive perspective, like ethnically, their father is Ham, our father is Shem, and so they're two different lines. So Hamites can never be Israelites because the lineage that they come from. It's like if you and I were together, your sons and my sons would not be related. If we were
Yeah.
starting a whole new line, the tribe of Tazaryach and the tribe that you have, they wouldn't be related because they come from two different fathers.
Right.
So Ham comes from, so the children of Ham come from a different father than the children of Israel. That's why we're not related. So
Right. Okay.
Israelite could be in Africa and be considered an African, but a Hamite in Africa could not be considered an Israelite. So I hope that makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to come back to all of this for one moment,
Okay.
but just in case we get disconnected, I want to have it had been said in this particular live. So if I don't have to
Yeah, that's
upload a
fine.
second one and then parts of your answers will actually listen from this, I just want to do this mainly for people that are really curious to know. The other day, there was some hysteria that had seemed to happen between two Israelite camps, being your camp, ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and another camp known as IUIC, Israel United in Christ. Now, for those that don't know, Israel United in Christ, IUIC, is a massive camp. It appears, I could be wrong, Tazaryach can correct me, it appears that they seem to be the biggest camp in terms of the numbers that they have of people around the world globally that are following IUIC. And this is what I was trying to explain earlier, just before we started the live, is that there are some very big camps out there. ISUPK is one of them that Captain Tazaryach is from, and IUIC is another one. But there was some hysteria that happened online. Now, I made a post of this, a quick post on the page, and it looked like there were two Israelite camps preaching the word in public. It looked that it was IUIC. IUIC were there. They wear their purple garments, basically, and ISUPK, who were wearing black garments. Okay, and you were both preaching the word in the same place at the same time. It looked like there was some sort of underlying issues. Maybe that's not caught on camera. Could be. And then the fight breaks out. This has gone round. It's gone viral. You know, I've seen it on many pages and platforms. We also, you know, amongst those, the first people to put it up, because as soon as we got it, we posted it straight away. You've probably seen that. I have probably tagged you in that. Can you break down to people what that was all about? Mm-hmm. Are there any underlying issues with IUIC that we're not aware of? People, the people may not be aware of unless you're actually from a camp and you know the people personally. You know, what are the issues that are going on with ISUPK and IUIC? How did that particular issue come about? And what's currently being done about it?
Okay. So as far as issues between ISUPK and IUIC, we speak out against the things that we know of any organization, whether it's a church organization, IUIC in this particular case with the question, it could be a non-church, it could be a Muslim, whatever. Mm-hmm. Let's say if they commit some act or whatever, we always talk about it. So we've talked about the leader of IUIC locking up brothers in New York for crimes they didn't commit because he did that. You can look that up in the New York records where two men sued the New York Police Department because Nathaniel locked them up for crimes he knew they didn't commit. He knew when you read the article, it tell you how he forged records to get them brothers locked up, and so they sued.
Sorry. Can I just clarify? You said Nathaniel. Is Nathaniel the leader or the captain of IUIC?
No, he wouldn't be the captain. He's considered the bishop of their organization. So he's the top dog.
Right.
Yeah, he's the top guy. And he was a New York detective. And while he was a New York detective and still an Israelite, he locked up these brothers for crimes he knew they did not commit. He knew they didn't commit it. It's not like he didn't have evidence that could free him. He had evidence that could free him, locked him up anyway. Those two men sued the New York Police Department and won the case. We talked about that. When we talked about that, immediately it's like, we shouldn't talk about that because he's an Israelite, and because he's an Israelite, we shouldn't. I don't understand that. I even had a brother that was in my school that left my school because he didn't like that I talked about Nathaniel locking them brothers up, even though, and I asked him, I said, well, what if that was a regular cop and he wasn't an Israelite? Should I have talked about it? He said, yeah. So that let me know that Israelites believe that we shouldn't talk about other Israelites. I believe that if you commit a crime or do something wrong, it should be talked about. So that was the first thing. Then there's other videos.
Sorry. Can I ask you as well? Mm-hmm. How did you get that intel then? That you're saying
it's public knowledge. Like if you look up, I could send you the link. I'll send you the link. So if you look up the New York, I'm gonna have the brother send it to me. I found out because it was a New York Post article. When I didn't notice. So I'm not knowing that he did that because, and again, if these brothers don't sue him, nobody would know. But once they won the case, then it became public record. And so that's how we know. So this is not a rumor. Okay. Right. This is something that you can look up. So you had that. So we was on them, talking about them all the time. So I would say that.
Sorry, did you already know of Bishop Nathaniel before before this information got out, when they beat this case?
I don't know Bishop Nathaniel personally. I just know of him. I've never met him.
Did you know of him at the time?
Yeah, I knew of him. Right. So I knew of him. I knew of IUIC before then, because there's things that they've said. They said stuff like Trayvon Martin got shot because he didn't listen to the authority. They,
Right. Okay.
they said stuff like, I'm snitching, I'm telling, that
Now who's
Trayvon Martin,
snitching? Who's telling?
they're snitching, saying IUIC, saying they're snitching on black people, saying that Trayvon Martin deserved to get shot. Like they're
Right.
on these are video recordings of them saying that. So
Right.
when we hear stuff like that, we're gonna say something like that. So
If,
that kind of sparked like the tension between both,
right.
because of course they don't want us talking about them, but in our head we're like, we're only talking about y'all because y'all doing this weird stuff. So because y'all
Right.
doing this weird stuff, so I would say that's where the tension initially started. Then there were a couple of clashes. So people don't know this about
Yeah.
IUIC, but IUIC has a reputation of moving in on different organizations, Israelite or otherwise. What I mean by that is they recently surrounded a church to try to get into
Right.
the church. They surrounded Geno Jennings' church. They
Right.
surrounded, they went in front of other Christian churches and got into fights with them. This is a tactic
Right.
that they use. Me, myself, I had a personal clash with them in New York one time, meaning when we look at camp spots, which is going to come right into the question you asking about the camp. When we look
Right.
at camp spots, if we go to the camp if we go to the site that we want to teach, if there's nobody speaking there, we assume that nobody teaches there. So we
Right.
look at it for a
Okay.
few weeks, and if we don't see nobody there, we say, okay, we can go and teach at that spot.
Right.
So I did that in New York, and when we started speaking there, IUIC shows up where we're speaking at. So now I'm thinking that they're trying to invade on our turf. So like for maybe like 3 weeks or so, we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, barking at each other. I'm bringing up the other things. The other thing I forgot is in the UK, there was a sister named Joy Morgan who got killed by an IUIC member. That IUIC
Right.
member who was married, IUIC teaches a man can only have one wife. He was a married African man and was dealing with her on the side and killed her. So
Oh wow.
that was the other thing. So we was talking about all of that. So that's where the tension kind of rises. So as we going back and forth in New York, I eventually just went to them. There was one Saturday I went to them on the side and I asked them about this camp spot. They told me that they was out there before us. So because they was out there before us, we let them have the spot. So that was the other
Right.
incident. Last year in Nashville, Tennessee, we have a school in Nashville, Tennessee. So the brothers is setting up camp directly outside of their school. So this is like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine in front of your building that you pay your rent to, you come outside to set up. IUIC comes across the street and tells us we can't set up here. And the brothers like, but
Right.
we in front of our school. And so they yell out,
Mm-hmm.
fuck Johanna. That's how they said it. They was like, fuck Johanna. And so the brother says, well, fuck
Who's
you
Johanna?
too. Johanna is our leader. Commander General Johanna is the leader of my school. So what Bishop would be in IUIC is what Commander General Johanna is in our organization as far
So,
as rank goes.
okay, so Bishop Nathaniel, he would be the equivalent of Johanna from your camp,
Yeah,
yeah, from
General
ISUBK.
Johanna, right.
Yeah.
Meaning as far as rank goes, General Johanna is better than him. But as far as rank goes, there's nobody above General Johanna. There's nobody above Nate in their group.
Right.
So when
Okay,
they
I
right,
understand.
so they tried to move us off of a spot that we own. So
Right.
that's not like us showing up at the same spot. We pay rent there. That's our location. So if we own the building, we can speak in front of our building. So
Right.
that was like last year. So now with the incident that took place Saturday, um, that's a spot in Kansas that IUIC, from what I've observed, speak in multiple locations in Kansas. So when the
Right.
brothers scoped out that particular spot, that's a spot that they also, I'm talking about ISUBK, the library that's behind that spot, they teach classes in that same spot. So not only do they
Right.
speak in front of that spot, they teach classes in the library at that spot,
Right.
ISUBK. So when we saying we didn't see them out there, we didn't see them out there. Now, could they have videos where they was out there? That's possible. I would never say that that's not possible. But if we scoping it out and we don't see y'all, we can't say that y'all come there. Had we to seen y'all, then yeah, it might have been different. But when we come out there and y'all see us, what end up happening is they had more people come to try to get to the spot early to take us off of the spot, to use the same bully tactics that they try
Okay.
to do in Nashville, that they try to do against the Christian church, that they try to do to Geno Jennings' church. They try to do the same thing to us. And that's
Okay.
why the conflict existed. You want to say something?
Right. I understand. Yeah. I was going to say to you, I want to go through a couple of the comments
No
as well
problem.
that are coming through. One of the comments say, did Jenkins not agree to meet them later, then changed his mind when they turned up to speak with him?
Say that one more time. Did
So
what?
the question is a question. They said, did Jenkins not agree to meet them later? Sorry, did Jenkins not agree to meet them, then later changed his mind when they turned up to speak with him?
No, that's not what Geno Jennings said.
Right.
Because it
Okay.
wouldn't be no reason to surround the church.
Right.
It wouldn't
Okay.
be no reason to
Okay.
surround the church and say, let us in while they're having
Right.
church service.
Right.
Like they came there while they're having church service to try to get in their church. Like if you wanted to do it in a respectable way, you wouldn't have tried to storm the gate, so to speak.
Right.
But that's the
Okay.
bully tactics that they do. So
Right.
they
Okay.
tried to bully the brothers in Kansas. And so that's what that was about. So not only, so as they having a camp next to each other, the IUIC try to invade their space of the camp, face a speaker at them, try to antagonize,
Yeah.
get the brothers off their square, try to persecute the brothers. And the brothers just
Yeah.
wasn't going for that because we shouldn't
Yeah.
have to run from a bully.
Right. Okay.
So, of course, they had the altercation when he tried to move the chair. They
Right.
have the
Okay.
altercation where they push the brother. The fight occurs, and then they do something I didn't think Israelites would do, which is call the police. So they
Right.
call, not only did they call the police, when the police get there, the IUIC members yells out that the brother has a gun.
Right.
Why would you say so? Now, for those that, because I know you have an audience that's not just in America, but in the UK. But in America, you cannot yell to a cop that a black man has a gun
Right.
because
Of
that can
course.
lead to you getting
Of
shot.
course.
That can lead to
Yeah.
you getting
We're
shot.
aware of that.
Yeah, getting fit. So why would these IUIC members? Remember
And
these
you already
brothers.
claimed, sorry, that Bishop Nathaniel, he works for the police.
Yeah, he works for the police, right?
Right.
Right. Well, excuse me. I think he's
And,
retired now, but he
okay.
was working for the police.
But
He's
he did
retired.
anyway. Have
Right.
dealings with,
With
the police. Yeah.
right. So if these men, if you already, because you got 30 men against 4. If you already
Right.
got them on the ground, you done called
Right.
the police. As the police is walking up, what is the gain to say they got a gun other than to inflict further harm? Maybe they hope that the cop would just shoot him. He got a gun. He got a gun. Maybe he
Okay.
hoped the cop would shoot. Maybe he would hope the cop would come, put his knee in his neck like he did George Floyd.
Yeah.
So the agenda that they had to attack these 4 brothers is really what that was about. They wanted to be bullies. ISUBK would not be bullied, and so that's what that was about.
Thank you for clearing that up. One of the other comments, we was battling the pastor and they got mad because it was waking up the city. Okay. No. Okay. One of the other comments as well, we got somebody in the chat right now, SM_the Almighty. Yeah, he's a page that I'm also aware of as well. He posts a lot of interesting topics and music and things like this. And he gets a lot of people on his page that that talks about what's going on in their day, and people share their views, etc. But he's asking, are you down to talk with the people, Captain Tazaryach?
Yeah, you talk about in this live stream here. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I more want to keep this live going with me and you generally, but I just want to see, what if he has a few outsider questions.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with
snap them out, quick answers, and quick discussion, and we'll bring it back to where we was. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So
I'm fine with that.
perfect. Okay, perfect. So let me see what that is. I lost that comment as well. Right. Okay. Hopefully he'll come in any minute now. Okay. But yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
No problem.
There's a few more things that I want to get into with you as well.
Hmm.
To do with the Bible, and I think we was last discussing about the tribes. Yeah, it doesn't appear that he's joining at the moment, but let's just talk in. We'll just talk in the meantime anyway.
No problem at all.
Um, yeah, but okay. So yeah, so you mentioned about the 12 tribes, um, and you talked about the tribe of Ham, basically.
Right.
Sorry. Okay, this one's back.
Oh, yes. Nice to
Hello,
meet you,
everybody there?
Captain Tazaryach. Big up Black History.
Hey, what's
Yeah,
going
big
on,
up.
brother? What's going
Big
on,
up.
brother?
That's good.
Mhm.
So yeah, brother. So you're up for speaking to people, Captain Tazaryach.
Yeah, I'm speaking now.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
ask a few
yeah, yeah.
questions because we're gonna go back to the live. So
You're gonna what? Do
we're
you know
gonna go
what?
back to the live, but we'll take it'll take a couple of questions basically before me and go back.
Okay. I think Control the Narrative wanted to ask questions after as well, but if it's possible. But so what truth um in the Bible or your beliefs? Let's say your beliefs.
Can you say that again? Say that one more
What
time?
what truth did you find in your beliefs?
The truth that I found is that the blacks, Hispanic, like the Bible is only for the children of Israel. The law, statutes, and commandments that are contained in there is the written will and testament for the children of Israel to govern their spirituality, their economics, their family structure. You can find all of that contained within the Bible.
Mhm.
Okay. So like because I would be considered an Israelite, right? Because my parents are from Jamaica. So
Right.
um but you see my thing is this, right? It's like, all right, how do you determine if something is a fact or not?
How you determine if what's a fact or not?
How do you determine if something is a fact or not?
You determine it's a fact by research, like anything. You determine it's a fact by research, by anything, searching out information. It's not that hard to do.
Because
Um,
everybody don't agree with how history went,
Facts.
right?
Now that's correct because with history, a lot of things we was taught about history at a young age, or if you go back in the 1900s and stuff like that, we find out now is not true. So we search multiple sources to get to the bottom of it. So we may find an answer by going to three sources and all saying the same thing. It just depends on what it is. So we don't accept just one answer and say, okay, this is what the truth is. We do detailed research to
Mm.
make sure what we're standing on is correct.
What
Right.
what I want to
Okay. What?
ask you, right, is how do you know that your understanding of the Bible is 100% the truth? Because you got Christians, they have their own understanding. You have different Israelite camps that have their own doctrines and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
how do you know? Because the Bible doesn't. I know you're going to say precept from precept, right? Here a
I'm
little,
not
there a
going to
little.
say that.
You're
I'm
not going to
actually
say
not
that, no.
going to say that. No,
You're
no,
gonna say that,
no.
no.
Trying to catch you out there, isn't it? Trying to catch you out there.
No, what I was going to
But
say, like Romans the third chapter says, let God be true and every man a liar. So really, the only
mhm.
way to determine who's right and who's wrong is to battle. Like when you go into the Bible, you'll see that they disputed to prove who is right according to the Most High and who is wrong according to the Most High. So if you take a Christian, for example, that says God loves everybody, that's usually like a Christian thing. If I could show in the Bible where God doesn't love everybody, then it's not me that's right, it's the Bible that's right.
Right.
So
Of course.
that's how you
Okay.
would have to do it.
But
Mm-hmm.
even your interpretation, like, all right, is it possible? And you could be honest, yeah,
Hmm.
like that. Would you say your interpretation of the Bible is 100% correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
Listen. Listen, SM, you're gonna have to go. I'm gonna get back to this live now.
Hey, SM,
Yeah.
hit me up, man. We
Yeah.
could, if you ever want to have a further, just follow me or something like that. We can
Yeah,
always
follow
do.
me, bro. I'll
Yeah.
definitely talk to you, And if you can do Black History, yeah, if it's not too much trouble, yeah. But at some point, if you could add control the narrative,
No sweat.
if you can
Why do
at
you say
some
that?
point.
Why do you say that?
No, I think control the narrative is a person that wanted to ask a question as well. I think that's somebody on Instagram he's
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll see him. You'll see
right.
him.
Okay.
Right.
I know you said when you heard control
I
the
see what you're
narrative, you
saying.
thought he wanted you to control it. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, why would you say she's good?
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
Okay. Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah,
Let's get back
definitely.
to.
I'm gonna hit you. Peace,
Yeah. Yeah.
peace,
We'll crack
peace.
you anyway.
Cool,
Okay.
cool.
There we go. Is it just us now? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Yeah. Was you okay answering those questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I was good with that. Yeah, I'm good with answering questions. That's
Okay.
fine.
Cool. All right. Cool. So let's get more into this. Okay. So I became aware of ISUBK, ISUBK, IUIC, and some other camps. Probably, I think it was approximately probably about 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 9 years ago, yeah. So let's say less than 10 years ago.
Right.
So 2000, probably 14/2015 is
Right.
when I first became aware. And I first came from Christianity. Okay. So Christianity was the thing that I followed. That was what I believed because that's what was taught, and in my family basically. And I felt that wasn't really the way. And then I sort of looked at Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my family was into the Sunni at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like Islam. What if that's the way? I thought there's truths in many different things that I found. I then came to Ray Hagins, who we posted about. He was the pastor that he believed that Jesus was the way, but then he studied Kemet, which is Egypt and Africa.
Yeah, I wanted to debate Ray Hagins, but he never responds to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Ray Hagins, he's well known as well for those that don't know because he was a pastor for like 20 plus years of his life. He
was a cop too, I believe.
You reckon?
I believe Ray Hagins.
But he said he was in the. I think he said he was in the military.
Okay.
So maybe in some younger days or something like that.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Yeah,
right.
he said that in one of his videos. The video was called Ray Hagins, the Stolen Story. Yeah, Stolen Story by Ray Hagins. I know that because at this sort of time when I said I became aware of the camps, he was one of the people that I was looking at. I was trying to find out the truth. And then in doing all of that, because I started feeling like maybe the Hebrew Israelite, the whole belief, the whole system of it all, probably that's who we really are as a people. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, when you read it from that perspective of an Israelite, the Bible to me at the time made more sense than Christianity or Catholicism or any other, divisions that come from the Bible, let's say. And it was when I started looking at the Hebrew Israelite belief, I then became aware of this spiritual consciousness. Yeah. So basically, like the conscious community, they're widely known as the conscious community. Start talking about Egypt. That Egypt isn't what we think it is because it's been demonized by, people might say the white man or the people who colonize. The black nation basically, but they believe that the Bible has taken scriptures itself from what they believe is the original text, which is from the pyramids and maybe some other places as well. And the Bible was something that was put together, but in actuality, according to them, this community of people, that in actuality, people were spiritual long before the Bible came. The Bible was later then passed down, through slavery and things like this, and we all believe that there was a man called Jesus who was going to save everybody. The stories of Adam and Eve, etc., etc. But the conscious community, their views are quite controversial because they believe, like, hold on a minute, the Bible's plagiarized in certain things because actually in Egypt, there's a story about Ramses, also known as Asma Satepera Rametsu Meriaman, long African name. This story of Ramses who was praying to the Creator. It's shown in the in stone, it's carved as drawings. Praying to the Creator, asking for God to show him how to lead his nation. And later on, God spoke back to Ramses, but also presented him with a woman. And this woman, there's a story in Egypt with them, Ramses, this great African leader, Egyptian leader, basically ruling his nation. A woman's given to him, and this woman basically opens his eyes and shows him how to lead his nation. This conscious community will say that this story is older than the one about Adam and Eve, and this story is about, they've changed it up. They're talking about a fruit that this woman called Eve eats, and basically Eve representing the downfall of humanity, whereas they believe that the original story that comes from Egypt, Kemet, is a story where a woman was given to an African leader or African king, and the woman is, she represents the rise of this great nation. They talk about other statements as well to do with what's it called, that basically Jesus, all of his knowledge he got from Egypt as well in the first place. That Moses, when you look at him, he got his knowledge in Egypt as well, because he was held in captivity. He was
in Egypt, right? He was raised up under Pharaoh.
Right. Exactly. And so I want to know what your views are, because I do know that you know about this Kemetic community anyway. It's also
I've destroyed that Kemetic community. I've destroyed it.
And they will say the same.
No,
because
they can't.
there's a lot of, but obviously I want to hear from why you think so.
Hey, there's a picture. My man, big up to my man Sinetta. I love that brother. When we outside of the debate mode, Sinetta's been an excellent brother all the years I've known.
Let me explain this for followers that viewers that might not know. Yeah, is Sinetta TV is they're quite big on YouTube, and they post a lot of videos with the different debates, basically, whether it's Muslims battling Christians, Christians battling Muslims, Hebrew Israelites battling the conscious community, the Kemetic conscious community, or Pan-Africanists as well, and the conscious community battling Muslims and Christians. So basically, everybody's just debating on so many different things.
He's like the black CNN. He's like a black CNN for information. You know what I mean? Like, his channel encompasses so many different beliefs. Like, his belief is irrelevant, but he gives you a media platform where you could bring your belief system and talk about it. And when I first met Sinetta had this picture of all these conscious niggas with him, just all these different I got rid of all of them. None of them are there anymore. None of them. I get rid of all. So I just want to point that out. But the chemist stuff, so now Adam and Eve, people who make the story of Adam and Eve copy any ancient culture, they're handicapped by default, because they're basing it off the principle that Adam and Eve are the first two people on the planet, and they're not. Adam and Eve are not the first people on the planet in the Bible. In the Bible, mankind is created on the sixth day. And Genesis, the second chapter, when Adam is formed and made a living soul, he was already a soul. He just wasn't living according to God. So Adam is alive. He gets the word of the Lord. Eve is from his tribe. He marries her. That's why he says, "You are bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh." It just symbolized family. So you can see that same flesh and bone displayed in Genesis 29:12, 2 Samuel 5:1. Even if people want common sense, when Cain kills his brother and God kicks him out, Cain goes and gets a wife. How could he get a wife if it was just Adam, Eve, and Cain? So there had to be other people. So the notion that Adam and Eve are the only people on the planet handicaps Egyptian believers, Muslim believers, all those different believers. Even the Moses thing. Yes, Moses grew up under Pharaoh, probably learned all type of things about Pharaoh. Similar to how I'm brought up in America. So I know all the things of America. And right now in America, you can have same-sex marriage. You can identify as whatever it is that you want. I've learned that in
Yeah.
America. That does not mean that I'm going to follow that. So in the
Right.
Bible, in Leviticus, the 18th chapter, Moses says, after the doings of the Egyptians shall ye not do. So all
Right.
of
Okay.
right. So all of the evil things that Kemet did, we don't follow after that. And a lot,
Right.
and
Okay.
here's the other handicap. People look at like the Egyptian, they call it the Book of the Dead. The reason why they call it the Book of the Dead, because these are records in Medu Neter that they found on the tombs of the rich. But
Right. Okay.
you have to prove that the Israelites understood those records or understood Medu Neter back then, and you just
Right.
can't substantiate that. There's also no record that Jesus learned anything from Egypt. There's no record.
Right.
He went to Egypt as a kid, so as a 1-year-old baby, he's in Egypt. But you can't show no text that says that Jesus learned anything from Kemet. If anything, we know
Okay.
anything, God hates us following after anything in Egypt. And Moses taught not to follow anything in Egypt at all. So if there's anything we learn, is to not be like Egyptians. The
Yeah.
problem, though, the sin that the Egyptians did, we love to do. Just like in America, when we teach about America, the problem is the sin that America provides, our people love to do. Our people love to get high. They love to sleep with whores. They love to murder. They love to sell drugs. So because America provides that, they don't want to listen. Just like the children of Israel didn't want to listen to God back then. So there is no copying. The Bible is the one
Right.
standalone belief that exists. There's nothing in comparison to it.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to the conscious community. Yeah?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because out of all the other groups that we've spoken about, Christians, Catholics, Muslims, whether they're Seventh-day Adventists, wherever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
is that the difference with the conscious community is that they're not under a particular religion or belief.
Right.
So they don't subscribe to the Bible and they don't subscribe to the Quran.
Right.
And what makes this community also different from them is that whereas Christians and Muslims, they have religion and things like this, they're ones that they don't identify with a particular God or deity that's mentioned in the Bible or the Quran. And they're and they're more for the fact that they believe that the Bible was given down to us and passed down through generations of slavery, torture, that black people went through, and that basically that there is no Jesus Christ, whether you might call him a different name. So I know some communities might, Israelite communities might call him Yahushai.
Right.
Some people
We
might
say
call him
Yahushua. Right.
Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
You say Yahushua.
Yeah, we say Yahushua. Right.
And how do you say God? Is it Yahweh?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Yahweh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So basically, yes. So back to what I was saying is that basically they believe that there is no Yahushua, there's no Christ, there's no Jesus, no particular man who's coming back to save anybody. That the 12 tribes was based on astrology. You've probably heard that as well. I've posted a video on that on our page. I'll probably soon put it out again. That is based on astrology. That the white man or European Western people, they basically want us to believe in this religion or to believe in the Bible so that we can be obedient, so that they can control us more easily, that basically we are really all one people, the black community, that probably life started in the motherland in Africa. Basically, but black people have been around the globe, so therefore, yes, you do find us in America, you do find us in parts of Asia and around the world, basically. So this is, I would say, some of the basis of the beliefs of the conscious community,
Right.
and they believe in being spiritual, okay, and to learn about spirituality, not necessarily religions that are limited to a book. What's your views on all of this? Are you aware of this about the conscious community? Is it the
Yeah,
first time you're hearing
definitely.
of this?
I've been in the
What's your views
conscious,
on this?
yeah, I've been in the conscious community long enough to know that really they all just want to get high. That's it. And have knowledge. What I mean by that is, so if you take the Bible is the white man's book, there's
Right,
a Bible that was the white man book. It's called the slave Bible. They had
right,
a Bible called the slave Bible where they took out all the verses that would inspire rebellion into the slaves. So
right.
if the slaves would read the story of Exodus, they might rebel. So they took the story of Exodus out. If they would read the Psalms where
Mm-hmm.
let the praises of God be in one hand, one in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance, they took those out. But
Right.
verses in the Bible that made you be subservient or obedient, they would leave in there. So in Ephesians, when it says servants be obedient to your masters, they changed it to say slaves be obedient to your masters. And then they
Right.
would read that to the slaves and say, well, if you really love God, you'll obey your master. Not understanding that when you read the rest of the verses in that same chapter, it tells the master to do the same exact thing to the slave. Meaning the same way the slave has to obey the master has to obey the slave. But they don't teach.
So, quick question. So, do you believe that this is something that was given? Do you think that the Bible was ever taught through slavery? Is that
No,
something that
I
is that
think the
a
lie
statement?
of the Bible was taught through slavery. I'm saying
Okay.
like what they would do is manipulate the scriptures to manipulate the slaves. So they never actually taught
Right.
them the Bible. But when you go into the late 1800s, when F.S. Cherry and other like black people really started getting their hands on the actual Bible, that's when you would see the sparked rebellions that would take place when they start reading what the Word of God really meant. When they read that they
Mm-hmm.
can go get vengeance, when the God is going to avenge them, then you would hear of your Denmark Vessies,
Right.
your Nat Turner, your Georges, all of these individuals that was inspired by the Bible. And here's
Mm-hmm.
the other thing. For all the conscious people saying that we should put the Bible down, they have no spiritual system to replace it with. There is no spiritual system that exists that can directly address the black person's problems in America, that can fix them, that can address them, give them the reason why,
Right.
give them the reason out. You was going to say
Fair
something?
enough. So, with that being said, do you believe that being an Israelite and supporting, the book which you read
Right.
from, do you believe that that is what's going to solve people's problems or,
Yeah, that's what I see solving.
the black community's problems?
Yeah, that's what I see every day. Like if I take ISUBK, man, when I came to ISUBK, we was in like 3 states, maybe 4. Now we're in all 50 states, and that just spreads. So now all these brothers that at one time would be doing whatever evil you could think of, including myself, now we repent from that evil. We restore our families. We restore our
Right,
houses. We restore our
right,
children. We start fixing the black community. So I haven't seen nothing else that has done it
right.
like on a consistent basis. I'm gonna hear you. I'm just gonna grab a water, but I can hear
That's
you in my Bluetooth. I
perfect. That's
appreciate it.
perfect. Um, if it's okay with you as well, I would like to add one more person into this chat. Now, I believe you said that your mother is in
No,
this
no, no.
life. Is that correct?
She's a Christian. She's not in the life.
Oh,
She's still a Christian.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I said
Okay.
she just was listening to the live, but
Listening to the live. Okay.
she's still into that good old Christian church. I love my mother,
Right.
but she's
Right.
still in that good old Christian church. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I understand. I understand. I want to bring on somebody for you right now.
That's fine.
That is my mother.
Okay.
Who is she identifies as a Hebrew Israelite,
Okay.
but she doesn't. She's not from the camp
Okay.
that you're part of, which is ISUPK.
Hmm.
She is from IUIC.
Okay.
So I just wanted to just see if she had one or two questions, because again, I kind of wanted to keep this live,
Okay.
afterwards, definitely strictly between us. So let's just see if she's there. She'll pick up. It might be a surprise to her now, because she probably think, oh, I was actually accepted for the live. Okay.
Hope the
There we
baby
go.
did. Hello.
Hey, shalom, sis. How you doing?
Yeah, I just wanted to say basically that, I would really love to see all the Israelites unite. I really, it saddens me to see that we're all in different groups or camps, divided. I wanted to ask you, don't you think it's a lot like the Christian faith where, everybody is separated and in different denominations such as Pentecostal, Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist, etc. Don't you think we're just doing the same thing now with the way, we're not united or fallouts and the different doctrines? We're doing exactly the same thing. We're repeating the same. We're just called something different. You know what I mean?
Your mic a little bit
I
funny.
can't
Yeah.
hear her. I think that even if we think about the time of Christ, with everything that Christ was doing during his time, the disciples left him too, not the 12, but in like John the 6th chapter, when Christ said, "You must eat my body and drink my blood." A lot of the people that followed Christ left because they couldn't understand what he was saying. And the problem, if you take like the group you're in and the group that I'm in, at one time it was, say again?
Sorry, I'm just putting my camera off for one moment,
Okay.
but you can still speak.
So if you think about the group you're in, the group that I'm in, at one time we were all together. And then it just became of a divide that happened in the 90s that made those men leave that group. Now, since about 2010, the leader of my school has said, let's all come together, meaning let's all sit down, have a conversation, and then maybe in that conversation, we can work where we're not different camps, as you just said. But we can't force anybody to come and sit down with us. So we've had that invitation existing since 2010, but not many people want to at least sit down and have the conversation. But if they was to ever sit down and have the conversation, then let's say even if it doesn't work out within the conversation, maybe there's some things that could be learned from everybody involved to where it might not be the first conversation. Maybe it take two conversations. Maybe it take three conversations. But we have to at least have one conversation. I had a conversation with a brother by the name of Zabak. I don't know if you're familiar with Zabak. Zabak is a brother from an organization called HOI, House of Israel. So when I'm coming into the conversation with him, it's a little contentious. He's expressing his grievances with me and my organization. I'm expressing my grievances with him. At the end of it, we came to an agreement that we'll just stop talking about each other. Now, that's a start. Now, that could blossom into something greater, but we have to be able to at least sit and have a conversation to begin to see where we could go from there. And then that's the best thing I could say.
You said in watching the video, and to see the brothers fighting when people that
You're kind of going out a little bit.
I'm sorry, is that clearer?
Yeah, that's clear. Yes, that's clear.
You need to see, you're going out there to do a service, basically, to let people know who they are, etc., and then to be warring in the street don't look good. In fact, chase everybody away, basically, there's got to be discipline, amongst both of you. I'm not blaming one or the other. I'm just saying there has to be discipline. I feel that, you should try and come to an understanding. I know you say it's been on the table since 2010. I'll probably get in trouble for saying all of this, but maybe replace it back again and try and get everybody together, because at the end of the day, it's about who we are, and we have that same goal. We're all one people. We're all Israelites, and we're God's chosen people. We know that,
Right.
To try and put away our differences.
So now the one thing I'll say is that as far as like the organization that you're in, there is a history of them doing certain particular tactics against not just us, but other factions, whether they be Christian churches and stuff like that. So I don't want to get you in too much trouble, so I won't say too much to where they say, why was you talking to him? So I won't say too much about it. But there are some things that they did that would be considered bully tactics, which is how we felt they was doing to us on that particular day. As far as scaring people away, the only thing I know about being an Israelite, whether we do something good or something bad, it's used to scare people away. If you love the Most High, you're going to stay regardless of what you have to do. In Acts the 5th chapter, for example, hold on one second. In Acts the 5th chapter, for example, when the disciples were beat for the word of the Lord, they gloried that they were able to be punished, be able to be beat for the word of the Lord, because they know that that comes with the territory of doing this job. It's just unfortunate when it's one of our own. So I'm going to say it, leave it right there, because like I said, being that you're in that organization, I don't want them to come down on you or say, why was you talking to me? So I'll just stop it right there, sis.
Well, I'll just one last thing before I go. You know, this is my job. This is what I do before I UPK. I mean, UIC. Sorry. You know, I interview people not only in this live here, but I've done it on my own life and behind closed doors as well. So, if anybody is watching, I hope nobody's taking this personal. This is part of who I am. I represent Black Talk and I'm someone. Thank you.
No problem. You have a good day, sis. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. And that page that that she's speaking about as well is Black, BLACK, Tulsa, TUL, but she spells it with a H at the end, so TULSAH, and then UK. Yeah, Black Tulsa, UK. Okay, so let's go back to what we were saying, and let me just bring her out 1 second. Here we go. Okay. Yes. So thanks for answering a lot of the, a lot of the questions that has obviously, said to you, because there was quite a few questions from myself and now 2 others. What I wanted to speak about is the situation with Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, a few others over there in the States, a few people here in the UK. But it seems to be this issue, because we've had a lot now on the news about anti-Semitism. It seems to have become quite a big thing over the last 1 or 2 years now. What is your views at the moment with this this whole thing about the Hebrew Israelites, about Israelites or Hebrew Israelites coming to light? More people are starting to become aware of this Hebrew Israelite movement. Some people, this is, the fact that there's so many issues that's been going on, like with the Kanye West thing and the, the Kyrie Irving basically talking about who the real Jews are. This is something that is recently, over the last couple of years, it's started to spike up a few times, and it's got a lot of attention, in particular from the Black community. That's been seeing these comments about Israel and who the Jews are and who the false Jews are and things like this, basically. Do you think that this is a good thing, that maybe not necessarily the issues that actually arose with, like, for example, Kanye or Kyrie Irving, but not saying in that sense, like the things that actually, what they've been getting in trouble for, or what's been going on in the news report about them, in a sense of, those events, they have still happened. It has brought this whole topic to light to a lot of people. Do you think that's a good thing? What's your take on the whole?
I think it's a beautiful thing, because you can only hold the truth back for so long. So there's one thing when you just say, oh, that's just them crazy niggas on the corner yelling with a mic. It's another thing when Kyrie Irving shares a link. Like, here's how dangerous for a celebrity such as Kyrie Irving. All he did was share a link. He didn't say words about it. He didn't do anything. But
Yeah.
what he shared a link to gave access for millions to go look and see what it was. And
Right.
for millions of people to go flock to a book that's about us being the true Israelites, that's a threat. Because if you go back to the slave Bible,
Effectively.
yeah, if you go back to and I'm gonna come right back, I'm gonna show you why I use that. If you go back to the slave Bible, they take certain verses out to destroy our spirit. So if you
Right.
go back to fast forward to 2023 or 2022 at the time, when you got these brothers and sisters on the corner, these brothers on the corner teaching, you can keep them quiet by not giving them the exposure. But
Right.
then somebody like Kyrie comes along and exposes it even more to the world. So now it just brings this attention. I mean, they're talking about it on ESPN. They're talking about it on Fox. They're talking about it
Right.
in sports. They're talking about it on CNN. All about Hebrews, the Negroes. And it's like, wait, black people think they're the Jews? Black people think they're the Israelites? So now it
Right.
sparks more conversation. And then you got Kanye West. Kanye West, now he ain't posting links. He's verbal and vocalizing that. And then the thing about Kanye wasn't saying that they weren't Jews. He was just
Right.
saying we're Jews too. So he wouldn't
Right. Okay.
so he wouldn't be like me. Me, I would get up there and I would say, no, we're the real Jews, they're the imposter. Kanye West
Right.
just wanted to say we're Jews too. Don't deny us access to these records. Now, Kanye West has, like, outside of Michael Jordan, probably has the most popular sneaker. He's an
Right.
icon. So now you got an icon saying we're the Jews, we're the Israelites. All that comes from the work that the men of the Lord have been putting in. All those brothers
Right.
going out on the streets since 1969, going out on the corners, teaching, battling, proving, waking up the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and those abroad. That's a beautiful thing when they talk about it. There is
Right.
no bad publicity when it's talking about bringing the word of the Lord. Think about this: the Passover, right? The Passover for the children of Israel is a beautiful thing. But the Passover for the Egyptians is an ugly reminder of them getting killed so we can get free. So on one hand, it's bad publicity to celebrate the Passover, depending on who you are. But on another
Right.
hand, it's beautiful, the Passover. So on one hand, America or the media is angry at Kanye. Like, he still can't sell his sneaker. He still can't do none of that. But what he stood on, as far as exposing to the world we're the Israelites, is like one of the greatest things that we could have. Because now we can take that spotlight and we can utilize that spotlight and say, okay,
Right.
Kanye was talking about us, so come talk to us. And we'll tell
Right.
you why we say we're the Israelites.
Right.
So that was a good thing what he did.
Okay. Cool. And when you say, that when you say we, and you talk about Hebrew Israelites or Israelites, we've already established that there's different camps. You got HOC, you got IUIC. I can't remember all of the others, to be honest. There's quite a few. I'm sure you know them more than I do anyway. And like I said earlier, and I'm sure you would agree, there are some differences and maybe even some, some disputes between the different camps. How they teach certain things, why they teach certain things, thinking that's wrong, or for whatever reasons, or. So when you say that we, this was a good thing for us and things like this, these Hebrew Israelites, would you say that this is something that they agree on as well, even though you got all your disagreements and, and things where you can't see eye to eye on? Would you say that this is like a shared belief, generally speaking, amongst even other camps? Or you speak specifically for your camp?
So what I would say, right? So of course I'm in ISUBK, and like you said, there's other organizations. And so ISUBK is like the father to these other organizations that come out of ISUBK.
Would they agree on this, or is this one of your statements that you're making?
Well, they wouldn't have no choice, because they would all say at one time I was in ISUPK. That's what they would all say.
Right.
Or they would say I used to be a part of One West. So like
Oh, okay.
IUIC, Nathaniel, or Nate at one time was in ISUBK. So all of these people that have these, the only ones I would say is maybe those that that might have started their stuff maybe later. They might not have. They might have come. They might have been taught by somebody that was from ISUBK. So they might say, "No, I wasn't in ISUBK." But when I speak, I speak for every Israelite. Doesn't matter what you are. Doesn't matter
Right.
what camp you say you in. I think that I've earned the position to say when I speak, it represents the whole nation of Israel. When Commander Jenny Hanna speaks, it represents the whole nation of Israel. And so, like what I just said about what Kanye and Kyrie did, I don't see no Israelite disagreeing with that. No Israelite.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks for explaining that. I like how you explained that as well. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting to know.
I
So
probably
would
got
you?
about 10 more minutes or so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's fine. And also, just just before we leave as well, is there anything that you in particularly might have wanted to know or might have wanted to ask or anything like this?
No, I'm good. I haven't done an interview with anybody. No. I think the last time I did something with somebody from the UK, there was this guy, he had a show called Talk with the Titans. This was like years
Right.
ago. So I
Mm-hmm.
haven't done it in a long time. So I really just wanted to see, like what questions you had or anything like that. So
All right. That's fine. I have a question for you. Um, are you up for debates?
always,
Always.
always.
So things ain't changed from all those years ago where I watched those videos of you
Nah.
going back and forth. And by the way, I just want to say anyway from my own heart, that I've seen many videos of you preaching, yeah, and evangelizing with people, talking about the Bible, talking about evidence. You always bring up your evidence, your receipts, your facts. I just want to say you're a very good speaker. You are a very good
Most honor
speaker.
Christ, I appreciate it,
I'll
brother.
tell you now, if you weren't, you probably would be on here anyway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because, to tell the truth, I really want to hear from the best.
Right.
I really want to hear from the best. You know
Right.
what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate
I
that.
know you're quite high up there, in that truth with regarding who the real Israelites are, and and yeah, like I've seen you. I would say you've won some debates. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You've won. I can't say how many. I couldn't necessarily say whether
I
it's
would say
all of them.
all of them. Yeah, I would say all of them.
I'm sure you would. And I've seen you. Okay, I think. And you know what? Recently we had young Pharaoh.
Hmm.
About a week ago, we had young Pharaoh on the Black History on our live, doing a live with us
Right.
as well. Shout out to young Pharaoh. We've also known about him being on Sunnet TV as well, the same network that has broadcasted, your debates, your discussions with
Right.
people. The same network he was on, and he was, just so everybody knows, he was representing the conscious community. You see, the one that we were talking about earlier, the side that's like apart from the Bible, apart from the Quran, say this is not our way. Talking about Egypt and spirituality and connected consciousness and things like this. Basically, connecting spirit with science and talking about the spirit science behind why we're here,
Right.
how we got here, etc. So he's very, very intellectual. I believe you met him as well. Is that correct?
What's his name? Young Pharaoh?
Young Pharaoh.
I met Young Pharaoh when he was a baby.
Right.
Like when I say
So you
baby,
know where he is.
yeah, like 2015 when Young Pharaoh was just like this young teenager, maybe, I don't know, he could have been maybe 20, 21, something like that. Had a conversation with him on the street. I don't really like what he's become today. Like, and I'm
Right.
talking about like the negative stuff that, he's gotten involved in. We did a show
Right.
together. We did a show together a few years ago on Nature Boy, because one of the people that Nature Boy was abusing is a sister that's in our school now. We actually saved her and her son.
Right.
And she's married to a brother in our school today. So Young
Right.
Pharaoh is definitely a good brother. I think we were supposed to debate at one time, but we never actually debated. We had a conversation on the street. I
Let me
schooled
ask
him.
you something.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. So when I speak to young Pharaoh and I speak about, is he up for debating? He sounds like, and I think I would say he's made it clear. If you check back at the last live that we just did, it's on the
I'm gonna
page.
check it out. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. And he sounds like he's absolutely ready to debate absolutely anyone. He says that he's got the truth, the Hebrew Israelite, the whole doctrine of it all is not what they pipe it up to be. It's not what they
Tell
say.
them to come on. Tell them to come on.
He would be up for a debate.
Yeah, I would too. Tell them I'll be up for it too.
Suppose I wanted to do a freeway and I wanted to maybe ask some questions, maybe see if I can.
I'm down with it.
Would you be down for that?
Yeah.
To do that?
Yeah.
Live on our page. If I bring Young Pharaoh and bring you think? Would you say that? Okay. Do you want to debate Young Pharaoh?
Yeah, I would.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you will win that debate? How do you think that would go?
Yes, I would win. Yeah, I would win.
Is Young Pharaoh intellectual? Is he knowledgeable?
He's definitely a knowledgeable brother. I don't go into no debate thinking somebody, because I wouldn't debate nobody that's not knowledgeable. Like, you got to be a worthy opponent. And so I've seen Young Pharaoh, talk. Like I said, I've seen him when he was young, when he first started. So I've seen Young Pharaoh talk. Now I would beat him, but I would definitely say he's an intellectual. But if if he ever wanted to step up in that ring, we step up in the ring, and it ain't no thing to me. It's nothing to me.
I'm gonna let him know exactly what's been discussed in this thing today, because I think it would be very interesting. And you know what? It would be good for UK to see that as well.
Yeah.
It would be good for you to see that, because you're both brothers from America. You both got very controversial beliefs. You both always speak with your receipts and your facts. You're both very good with your words. You're very knowledgeable. You're both well researched. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be no foolish little small thing. I already know that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that would also be good for maybe America to see, because this whole, you guys are massive. You've been massive on Sunet. You've been massive on YouTube. There's so many brothers. You got camps down here of ISUPK. You got camps over here in the UK as well of IUIC. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people that do know about this movement. A lot of black people in UK are starting to become more aware about the movement and about this truth that is in the Bible about who they are, which tribes they're from, the reasoning and the information, where this comes from. I see a lot of them buying the Apocrypha as well, because they say you can't read the Bible without the Apocrypha.
Right.
It's for me, although I don't necessarily follow, I would say, everything that's in the Bible anyway, because I've got a few different beliefs from a few different things I've adopted along my walk, along my journey of life. Do you know what I mean? I've gone to Egypt a couple of times. I was actually brought up as a Christian. I'm also interested in many things that are taught by the conscious community, as much as many things that have been taught from the Bible. You understand? So I believe that getting you and Young Pharaoh here right now, like not now, obviously we're going to arrange it, but on this channel, I think we should do that, get it together, because I would like to see how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, because you know what? He said he's ready for it. You're saying you're ready for it. You both sound as ready as each other. And do you not feel like it could be a bit of a threat though? Because you've already agreed here already that he's very knowledgeable. He's very intellectual.
That he could be a threat?
I'm asking you, do you feel like, you having a debate with him, with Young Pharaoh? Do you feel that you having a debate with Young Pharaoh, okay, who we just did a discussion with the other day? Do you think that you having a debate with Young Pharaoh will be a difficult debate or not so difficult debate, considering you already said that he is very intellectual and very knowledgeable?
I don't know if I would say difficult, but it would be a good challenge. It would definitely be a good challenge because, like I said, he's not a dumb kid. He's not a dumb kid. Right. He's a smart kid. He pays attention to what people say. He's good at countering. He's good at leading. So I would definitely say he would be what you would call like a good fish, big fish to put on my hook and reel in, skin him down. fry him up, get some hot sauce. Shout out to my man Red Pill. I see he just joined the room, man. Shout out Red Pill. We gotta do something together too, man. But yeah, he would be a good meal. Like that's a good bait. That's something good to hunt. You know what I'm saying? So he would be. That's what they call that big game. That's big game. That's big game right there.
Yeah. Okay, somebody in the comments says, I don't know. I think Tazaryach will crush him, but I would definitely like to see it.
Yeah, I think
somebody else saying young Pharaoh. Somebody else says young Pharaoh is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, what else we got? I've lost some of the comments now.
Yeah. Red Pill, we gotta do something together, man. I'll be telling you, man. If you're in the chat listening.
So if he says he's ready to do this thing, you're saying you're going to be
yeah. And I'm on record. I'm on your live. So you can't. So if I say nah, I can't do it, you could play the live and say Cap running. You can say Cap running. And I don't run. I'm known for not. I'm known for not running. I'm known for not running. I'm known for standing right there.
It did take a long time to get to do this live. You know what I mean? Like, stepping you down and trying to get the conversations going. I'm like, brother, do you want to do the live or you don't want to do the live?
No, you know what? And you know what? I'm glad you messaged me because sometimes I get busy and then I forget. Like even this interview, I thought it was going to be on YouTube. I didn't know it was going to be like on the Instagram. So, you know, like running around, you know, I was just busy. So I do apologize for making you wait so long. But maybe it took that time so you could interview Pharaoh. Because I see what you do. I see what you're doing. What you're doing is you getting your Sinetta on right now. You said, okay, I had young Pharaoh. Now I got Cap. Let me see if I can get both of them together. Okay, I see what you're doing. But I'm down with it. You know what I mean? If you want to rock out with it, I'm fine with that. That's fine. You let me know.
And you know what? Am I wrong for doing that? Do you know what?
Me not wrong for. Listen, man, you ain't wrong for. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Without Sarnetta, so many people that whether they follow the conscious community,
nobody would know me.
Like, they probably would never.
Yeah, they wouldn't know me. Like being on like Sarnetta's platform opened the door for me to get everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Not saying, and that's not to say I wouldn't be nowhere, but I can't say. But the way my time worked, being with Sarnetta put me in all these different spaces that I'm in. So, and that's why I rock with Sai. Me and Sai has been tight since I've known him. Now, when the camera come on and we battling back and forth, we going to war. You know what I mean? But when the camera is off, he's an excellent brother.
And let me just explain something. Like you said, I'm getting my Sarnetta on. Would I disagree with that? Of course not.
Right.
You know, I think this. I love a good debate myself. I'm always up for a debate. You understand? Because I feel like for what I know, you know, I know a good amount to basically be able to battle people and to have some receipts to back those arguments. I feel like there is no point having a debate with somebody if you have no receipts, you have nothing to back your argument. It just becomes empty statements. Right. And so I'm interested. You know, what the number one thing of the Black History, our page, is we like building with the Black community. The reason I say we is because there's more than one of us behind the page. I'm the founder of the page, Daniel, aka, and Dante, you can call me as well. I'm the founder, but you know, we down to my mother that actually helps with the running of this page. You know, who helped this, you know, me grow this page from 20 followers. We were happy when we hit 200, 2,000, and then you know, as it started growing, obviously we were just more surprised because the thing that we wanted to do was to basically build with the Black community. And you know, and that's to have open discussions. You know, we have to be transparent. We should discuss religion, and we've done that on this channel many times, discussing Christianity, discussing Hebrew Israelites, King James, people's views about the conscious community, you know, about whether you know, the Bible is the true answer for Black people to unite. You know, there's a lot of building, you know, with the community is what we do. So we reach out to many great speakers in the hopes that obviously we can get a discussion going where our followers can also be introduced to their followers, whether they have a lot of followers or not have a lot of followers. But it will be good. Even if they got bigger followings, it's great because at the end of the day, our thing is that we just want to get the info out there. So that's whether we got 10 people on the live or whether we got 1,000 people in a live, it's the same success. We see it because at the end of the day, I just think that it's very very needed. It's very required in this day and age in 2023. Like, information is everywhere, and I'm sure we can agree on something, is that the generations are getting more and more backwards, you know, and they're going to have a whole lot of stuff to deal with when our generations die out, and you know they've got left to be fighting. They've got to fight the LGBT community. They've got to fight all the new groups that they're trying to create now. They've got the against Asian hate crime. You can't say the word you know, Jewish, or you know, without being deemed or seen as an anti-Semitic person. You know, you can't even talk about straight pride nowadays. Like, generations are getting worse and worse. So again, I think if somebody says that they're the best speaker and they know what's good for our community, I'm interested. I'm going to hold you there. But if somebody else is also saying exactly the same thing, that they got the truth, they know what's best for their community, and they're both equally as good as speaking as each other,
Right.
that's got to be something that's got to be seen. It doesn't matter how many people are watching. That's something that needs to be getting out, and we need to, you know, listen to each other in our community. Understand what I'm saying? Especially with what's going on right now with police brutality. You just had BLM. There's oppression with black folk anywhere you go around the world. You understand? And I'm sure we can agree on that. And so I think it's vital that we listen to each other. People that say that they got something to say, we need to hear you out. You understand what I'm saying? So it's been a pleasure having you come on our platform. You're a great speaker, and this ain't going to be the first time. I know already. It's not going to be the first time that we're going to have you on this platform, because
Definitely.
I'm going to get some of the best debaters to debate you. Yeah. And I would like even people from the UK. You know,
they could be from the UK, man. They could be from Alaska. They could be from Antarctica. It don't matter where they're from.
Well, like, we've got so many, you know, we've got so many people, you know, in like maybe in some higher places that even follow the page as well. We've got most of the followers actually that we have probably would be in America and in UK, Europe. But you know, people like Teddy Riley that follows the page. The guy from Boys to Men, I think his name was I can't remember his name. The one from Boys to Men, he follows the page. Andre 3000's friend, the other Speaker Box, so many other people that got shows running on Netflix and things like this, basically. So there are people that know about our page. You know, big shout out as well to another person that you do know through Sarnetta. You know of Red Pill and Blue Pill.
Yeah, Red Pill was in. Yeah, Red Pill was. Yeah, Red Pill was in the live. That's why I was bigging up Red Pill.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah, he came to the UK as well. You know, great speaker. Oh my God. So I would love to, you know, be able to try and get a few of you at different times to maybe come onto this live, so I can sort of maybe mediate and listen between the two and try and sort of ref it out and sort of ask why those views are shared. Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah. I'm always interested in having conversations, debates, and dialogues, as long as it's something that's beneficial. So whatever you have, and again, I appreciate you having me on. I do have to go, but I definitely appreciate you having me on. But anytime you just hit me up, you know, I'll even give you my number in the back, and you know, we can always have a conversation, meet with, and no matter what it is, I'll be down for it. So you just let me know.
Is there anything you want to say to the viewers that are watching before you go? Is there anywhere that they can follow you?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you can follow me. Yeah, definitely. You can follow me. I have a podcast I do on YouTube. It's called Captain Tazaryach in the Lab Podcast. I have my radio show I do every Thursday called Cross the Line Radio. I also have a business, which I see in my background. Like when you see like those body butters, these are the body oils.
Oh, yeah.
Like I make all of this stuff myself. This is the lab that I actually create everything. Yeah, so my mixers is up there. So I have a business called Carl Gas for the best fragrance, and I ship to the UK. I've been shipping to Australia for like 3 months now. People ordering all the way from Australia, so I ship worldwide. I have a sale going on right now, 25% off if anybody want to go to my website, carlgas.com, and just check out the site. And that's pretty much all I got, man. Again, I appreciate the brother bringing me on. I'm looking forward to the potential debate, looking forward to the potential conversations. You know, you hit me up, and then we'll rock from there, brother.
Thank you. We'll definitely do it again. Thank you so much. And make sure you check out this live. Also share it as well. Yeah, you know, I'm definitely going to share it. I'm going to see if I can download it, but I'm definitely going to share it. Perfect. Thank you very much. Take care. God bless you. God bless you too. Bye-bye.